Hello students, this is the first lecture on cell, the unit of life. Watch till the end. Cell, its unity in diversity. There is an unfathomable count of the variety of living organisms dwelling on earth. This wide variety sometimes keeps us thinking about the innumerable types of living bodies which exist on earth. In spite of this extreme level of diversification, there has been an underlying unity in the basic structure and processes. All living organisms are made up of one or many cells. Yet again, we find there is a uniqueness in organisms. This is because of the various levels of organization in the cellular, subcellular, and biomolecular levels. What is a cell? Cell is an essentially functional unit, that is, which performs all the vital functions of life, comprising of the protoplasm, limited by a membrane, and containing one or more nuclei at some time in its life. The cell is the structural as well as the functional unit of a living body. Now, the above definition is not valid for viruses, as the latter lack a definite semi-permeable membrane and nucleus. Cell theory. Two biologists, Matthias Clayton and a German botanist, and Theodor Schwann, a German zoologist, postulated the cell theory in 1838, which claimed that all living bodies are essentially cellular in nature. This means that all living organisms are composed of cells. According to their studies, cells were recognized as the units, also regarded as the primary agents of organization. Hugo von Moll's observation about the importance of protoplasm gave the cell theory a strong foundation. Incidentally, von Moll was the first man to recognize the importance of the living contents of the cell, and the term protoplasm, which means the first formed substance, was proposed by him. The cell was thought to be the mass of protoplasm with the nucleus, which would originate from a pre-existing cell, was a generalization made by Virchow. Virchow further observed that new cells develop by the division of pre-existing cells. After this, in 1866, Haeckel established that the nucleus stores and transmits hereditary states. Now, the cell theory states, point 1, cell is the structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Number 2, all the living organisms are made up of cells. Number 3, all the cells arise from pre-existing cells. Exceptions to the cell theory. Viruses are an exception to the cell theory. They lack protoplasm, which is the essential part of the cell. They are made up of proteins and one of the nucleic acids, that is DNA or RNA. Next, some prokaryotes like bacteria and blue-green algae lack well-organized nucleus, nuclear membrane, and nucleoplasm. In these cases, the nucleic acid alone forms the chromosome and lies in direct contact with the cytoplasm. In bacteria, basic proteins associated with the nucleic acid are absent. Then after this, the xenocytic hyphae. These are the results from these, the nuclear divisions occur in these cases within a cell without the accompanying division of the cytoplasm. That is, there are many nuclei. It's a multinucleate condition without the division of the cytoplasm. No cell formation, no separate cell formation. Sinusotic conditions give rise to multinucleate cells. So here again, this is also an exception to the cell theory. Example, Rhizopus, it's a fungus, and cells of Vauqueria, it's an alga. These are multinucleate. Next is the bodies of certain protozoans are not cellular. That is, they are acellular. Their body is not divisible into cells. So they are acellular. And if they are not divisible into cells, they definitely do not follow the cell theory. Now, why is the cell regarded as an autonomous body? Autonomous bodies are those bodies which can make their own laws and exist independently. When we say that the cell is an autonomous body, we mean that the cell has the capacity to exist on its own. Each cell is able to carry out the fundamental biological processes which are the characteristics of living beings. We'll be talking about the prokaryotic cells now. These are primitive cells having the simplest organization. These include the cells of blue-green algae, bacteria, mycoplasma, rickettsia, and spirochaete. A prokaryotic cell is bounded by a complex cell wall. Underneath the cell wall lies the plasma membrane, which actually surrounds the inner mass of protoplasm. The genetic material is localized in a particular region. This is known as the genophore or chromatin body or nucleoid, which is made of DNA. The characteristic of this DNA is that it does not form chromosomes, and also that it is not complexed with histone protein. This nucleoid is not separated from the surrounding cytoplasm by a limiting membrane. This genetic material, therefore, is not a true nucleus. The prokaryotic cells do not have membrane-bound organelles such as plastids, mitochondria, Golgi bodies, etc. However, photosynthetic pigments may be present in membranous vesicles which are known as chromatophores or thylakoids, which are in the form of discs, and these sort of constitute the photosynthetic apparatus, as I may call it, the place where photosynthesis may occur. The function of mitochondria is performed by some respiratory enzymes which are contained in the foldings of the plasma membrane. These foldings are known as mesosomes. These mesosomes or desmosomes thus substitute the mitochondria. Now the eukaryotic cells. These are actually more organized and carry out the functions in a different way in comparison to the prokaryotes. Majority of plant and animal cells fall in this category. In eukaryotic cells, that is the protoplasm, the protoplasm, that is the cytoplasm and the nucleoplasm together, it is known as protoplasm. The nucleoplasm is actually inside the nucleus. So the protoplasm in the case of eukaryotic cells is bounded by the cell membrane. There is an additional cell wall surrounding the cell membrane in plant cells. As I have already said, the protoplasm is clearly organized as the cytoplasm and the nucleoplasm, which is contained in the nucleus. This nucleus in the eukaryotic cells is well organized and is known as the true nucleus because it is bounded by the nuclear membrane. The genetic material is present in the nucleus, remains in the combined state with histone protein, and this forms the chromosome. I repeat, the genetic material which is contained, which is actually present in the nucleus, remains in the combined state with histone protein, and this forms the chromosomes. The cytoplasm of eukaryotic cells contains several membrane-bound organelles and has a highly complex organization. Some of these membrane-bound organelles are mitochondria, plastids, Golgi bodies, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. Ribosomes may be free or attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. The cytoplasm also contains many inclusion bodies, which are essentially, these are actually non-living in nature. Now, I have randomly picked up some particular points on which I feel that short notes should be given. The cell, the unit of life, the first short note here in this case I'll be giving you is pronucleus. The presence of the haploid nucleus of a sperm or ovum in a fertilized ovum before their fusion is the male and the female pronucleus respectively. The male and female pronucleus fuse to form the diploid nucleus or the zygote. Number 2. Homeostasis. The chemical composition inside a cell remains steady. Remaining steady helps to maintain a balanced environment inside a cell. The condition of maintaining this balanced environment inside a cell is known as homeostasis. Number 3. Chondrosphere and mitoplast. Chondrosphere is formed by the fusion of more than one mitochondrion. This structure is degenerative in nature. Mitoplast is that particular mitochondrion from which the outer layer has been taken off. That is, it is stripped of its outer layer. This is not a naturally formed cell organelle. Therefore, the mitoplast consists of the matrix and the inner membrane only. Number 4. Transducer of plants. The device known as transducer is something which converts one form of energy to another. Inside the plant body, chloroplast is a transducer. It is because it carries out photosynthesis where solar energy gets converted into chemical energy. Number 5. Quantosomes. Inside the chloroplast, the chlorophyll molecules remain concentrated within spherical bodies known as quantosomes. These are amply present inside the thylakoids, which are disc-like in appearance and form the granular part of the chloroplast. Number 6. Pleomorphism. When a cell or an organism has the capacity to exist in various morphologically distinct forms or can change the shape of an organism is known as pleomorphism. The 7th one, deutoplasm. These are some non-living matters which are scattered in the cytoplasm. These are also called ergastic substances or cytoplasmic inclusions or deutoplasm. Based on their functions, these are of 4 types: excretory matter, pigments, secretory matter, and stored food. Contrary to the cytoplasmic organelles, these are actually the products of metabolism and not the site of metabolism inside the cell. That is, I repeat, they are actually the products of metabolism and they are not the site or the place where metabolism actually takes place inside the cell. Number 8. Informosomes. Certain minute particles made up of RNA and protein have also been found in the cytoplasm region of the eukaryotic cells as well as their nuclei. These were named informosomes by Spirin in 1965. The RNA constituting them is mRNA, and therefore these are supposed to contain genetic information. It is because of this information that they are supposed to bear that they are named informosomes. The protein contained in these minute particles actually covers the mRNA, thus protecting it so that the enzyme RNase is not able to degrade it. That is, if it is not able to degrade it, the information stored in them is stayed. Number 9. Origin of mitochondria. Mitochondria have been found to originate from the pre-existing mitochondria. However, it is also found to originate from endoplasmic reticulum or nuclear membrane or plasma membrane. The lifespan of mitochondria is about 10 days. Thus, they are continuously being produced or destroyed inside the cells. Number 10. Plasmodesmata. Very fine fibrils or threads of protoplasm pass through the tiny perforations or holes of the cell wall and hence connect the protoplasm of the adjoining cells. These thread-like structures are known as plasmodesmata. These help in maintaining the organic continuity in a living body.